Patrick, could you talk about DCAM? I mean,
Yeah.
just continues to make progress. You see him making plays. Just your thoughts on his maturation, please?
He's been doing a good job in the meeting rooms and on the practice field and doing a lot of the extra stuff to try to get better. You can see him gaining confidence. He has a skill set. He has good length. He plays physical. That's the thing that stood out to me the most is his desire or his willingness to be unblocked or the desire to make sure that those guys aren't blocking him at the end of the play. That stands out to me. And of course, he's a rookie and he's got a lot of things to learn. But the one thing that's positive about him, he usually corrects a mistake. So he might make it once or twice, but then usually it's off the plate and he's corrected it, and then it just comes down to execution.
He doesn't seem bothered by like the moment or the league or things like that. I mean, is that something you notice from him? What kind of a quality is that for a player?
Most corners, that get to this level, you have to have a short memory because at some point in your career, whether it's Pop Warner, high school, or college, you're going to get bombed on at some point, So, I mean, the thing is, but he has a lot of confidence. I believe it comes from his prep. Just like any of us in our walks of life, as a coach, you gain confidence from your prep, the preparation you put in. So I think that's where he's gaining the confidence. And then when you see it come to life out there on the field, that's really where when those plays start to happen out there on the field, that's when you get another level of confidence, so I'm looking forward to that happening for him.
What improvements have you seen from Bo Nix from the first meeting that you guys had until now?
I think I mentioned it the first press conference talking about Denver. One, he has an excellent coach with Coach Payton. So just the years I've been in the league, I remember my first year in the league, they destroyed us. It was down there at the Superdome. It was bad. And he does such a good job, the head coach, who's the play caller, of using their personnel. And you can see that Bo is comfortable with that. He knows, okay, this guy is doing this guy's doing that, and he's getting them the ball in those situations. The thing that stood out about me, and again, he played a lot of games in college. He has complete control of the line of scrimmage in terms of whatever parameters that Coach Payton's giving him, but he has control of it. He's able to get in and out of checks. He's able to get him into protection, and he's not taking a lot of sacks. That's a credit to his offensive line and their scheme. But you've seen a rookie player who has a lot of experience in college. I forget how many number of games he started. I think it was up there in the 70s or 60s, something crazy, whatever. But he's a mature player out there, and he's just getting better.
Tyree, one technique thing, leaving his feet away from 2 sacks on. But when you look at the first year when you guys selected him, you looked at it like a red shirt. He got forced to play because of Chandler. But when you look at how he's coming in each week, the relentless pursuit, still technique issues, but where he is in his career, would you assess that, please?
I joke with the defensive staff all the time. I wish defensive linemen, unless you I just wish defensive linemen could go to the minor leagues and get blocked for a few games because again, I always talk about in college, most of the guys at this level, they didn't really get blocked. They never had to deal with blockers of this caliber. So that's the first thing, adjusting with that. And that's usually the progression of their eyes, hands, and feet, and then looking for the ball carrier, because when they were younger, not being blocked, and they were usually the best player, as soon as they touch somebody, their eyes go up. So once you start to see improvement with that, then you're starting to see what you drafted or what you signed in terms of a player. So you're seeing that progression get right. I remember it with a lot of the younger players I've had in my career, Romeo Akawara, listen, you got to get your progression right before you start looking for the ball. So that's when it starts to take off. The game slows down a little bit, and then we're able to see the true player.
Patrick, how has the injuries to the defense impacted you as a play caller?
None, man. I mean, no. Again, if it did, nobody cares. So for me, that's my job to adjust. It's my job to adjust. And the thing is, Coach talks about it all the time, next man up mentality. The play calling, for me as a play caller, adjusts based on the game. So that's the thing. And then I got to be able to adjust within the game, and I got to do a better job of that. But really, in terms of any discussions on that, I can't. Every coordinator's dealing with it, and that's part of the job. It's a collision sport. We got to deal with it. But, I couldn't be – the guys are trying to execute everything I'm asking them to do out there on the field, and they put in the work. We have great energy in the meeting rooms, great energy out there in practice. We've challenged each other to get better each day and to improve, because we got to get to the point where we reap the rewards of this hard work, because, we're hungry. Everybody's hungry for, Sunday reward.
When it comes to your play calling and the game plan, how much of it is predicated on who you're playing, but also what you have to work with, the players that you have to work with that particular.
There's no excuse. I know, no, I got you. Like, no, nobody, again, that never crosses my mind. We got all NFL players, and these guys, I love the group we have, period, point blank. I'll say it like that. So for the play calling, for me is based on the opponent, based on what we're trying to give them, and then what we do well. And so, anything that's off of that, that's on me. That's on me. The players, we put the best 11 out there each play that we think is for that situation, and they're doing their best to execute. And again, most of the time is, all the time, coaches mess it up way before the players do. So that's on me.
But at the same time, when you have, a bunch of injuries at one position like you did this week in the defensive backfield with the corners, the communication is so difficult, obviously, for guys that haven't necessarily been out there together. How do you work on this? Is there a way to drill communication or?
Absolutely. I mean, effort, communication, discipline, that's the main criteria that I, as the defensive coordinator, I'm responsible for that. It trickles down from me. So whether we come up with creative drills or the walkthroughs that we implement, or even if we're doing a good job of teaching in the classroom, we want it to be interactive. No different than our kids that go to class, you want it to be interactive. So the only way I know if they know if I hear it from them, not me answering for them. So that's all part of the lesson plan for us as teachers to get that done. And then we always try to implement some element of that on the field. So always working on that,
Are there little victories for yourself, like when a younger player starts verbalizing it back to you in the way you want to hear it?
Again, I don't have any hobbies really. I mean, I don't have any hobbies, and I tell the players all the time, I'm so appreciative. Again, the moments that, the joy I get in my life, whether it's from my family, blah, blah, blah. As a teacher, the moments of joy I get is when they get something, when you're trying to teach them something. I say it's probably like any math teacher or any science teacher. So for me, aside from my kids and my wife, I don't know if there's anything else that gets me more fulfillment than that. Wins do, obviously, but in terms of when a player gets something that you're trying to teach them, because the one thing, I don't care if it's a vet, if it's a young player, Dante Scarnecchia told me this a long time ago, they all want to know and they all want to get better. So you don't have to be best friends with them, but they all want the good information. And you give them good information, you help them with their training, you help them have success out there on the field. I don't know, for me in my profession, if there's a better feeling, except for when you hold that trophy. That's different.
How much do you rely on your captains and players like Max Crosby or Robert Spillane to really help extend the communication in times like this where you do have a lot of injuries and players being...
Spill is my mouthpiece out there on the field. Spill and I spent a lot of time together because he's the green dot. Two, I really like hanging out with him. He's a good dude, and he's a great communicator, and he wants the information. So even if he's like, I said, I got a nugget. Do you want this? Give me more. Whatever he can handle. So I rely on him heavily. I rely on Max heavily in terms of he's the leader of the team, and I talk a lot to Max. Again, I think I said this before. Max, again, having a great player is a challenge for a coach, any coach, position coach, coordinator, because you hope that he challenges you to get better in terms of whether it's the schematics or your communication. So that's a big part of the role that Max has played in my life as the coordinator of the Raiders. He's helped me grow in my role. And I've said that before. He's helped me grow in the role, and he's able to communicate with everybody on the team, so that helps me if I need to get a point across.
Obviously, there's so many people that just look at sack numbers, to try to evaluate how a defensive lineman is playing. But can you just evaluate what you've seen from Max Crosby this last month, and also what are some things that the guys around him can do to also help him as well?
I think the thing that I know about Max, one, if you got the chance to watch him in practice, it's relentless all the time. And then the example he sets in terms of preparing for the game and his body. Then in terms of the production on the field, he draws a lot of attention. So we're aware of that. We know we're adjusting to that, as we go throughout the game and throughout the season. But the way he's able to still make plays and do what we ask him to do and affect the game, I mean, I think it's pretty solid what he does in terms of that. But, as we look into it, like, I mean, Max, he just does so much for us, whether it's set the edge in the run game, whether it's make a TFL on a stunt, setting the edge in the passing game so that we could win on the opposite side away from the slide. He does a lot, and it's a challenge for him. But again, you've met him before, you know how he is. He's up for that challenge, and he's looking for new challenges each week, which is another thing that we would love to have as a coach from everybody.
What's the chess match like when you play a team for the second time? Do you save stuff the first time, or how much does that goes into it?
When early on in the spring, we sit down as a staff, we kind of lay out schematically what we're trying to push towards, because you want to be playing your best football in November, especially after Thanksgiving. That's the idea. So there's some schematic things that you kind of, okay, hey, that's a good idea right there, Mike. I'm going to hold that maybe for Denver too, because you saw something in Denver 1. That goes in, that you do that at times, yes.
Yeah, we talk about development of young players and rookies, but like a guy like Charles Snowden, who's been around a while, but has
Y'all know I got practice, right? It's like, go ahead.
a guy like Snowden, who's been around a while but hasn't really played that much, is showing a lot of development through this year. Do you almost look at it as a rookie season when a guy hasn't played a lot of games at this point?
I don't know if it's that. What I see with Snow, and again, it's a credit to him and it's a credit to Robbie and Andre Carter. He came in from wherever he came. He was on practice squad, and we told him, this is what you have to do to get on the field. And again, a lot of it had nothing to do with what was going on in the spring, just to be honest with you. And we told him, and he wanted the truth. Like, because he had bounced around from team to team, so we gave him the truth. And then he went out there, put in the work, executed, got cut, came back. Then when he went out there, he produced on the field, so he earned it. So is it a rookie thing? I don't know. Everybody that's playing this league, they've earned that spot. So whether it's a rookie, a 10-year vet that got cut 4 times, but I just know it's his hard work. I don't know if we want to look at a rookie season. He's so smart. He's seen enough in practice and things of that nature, preseason games, but I wouldn't look at it as a rookie year. But, I mean, you have to ask him exactly how he thinks about it,
I'm not trying to hold you up, Coach.
But you are, but go ahead.
A couple of days ago, Rob learned he made the joke that you guys had stole Jonah Laulu. Can you just talk about the development you've seen from him as a player and what has he done to earn those reps throughout the year?
I can't speak for Robbie, but Jonah, I mean, I'm telling you, last, 4 weeks, the practice tape has been outstanding. And, like, I'm not saying that just to be dramatic or anything like that. It's just rep after rep after rep. It's similar to the discussion we had about Malcolm last year, where, again, first year and a half, maybe first year, wondering what Malcolm's going to be. Malcolm bring Robbie in. Robbie helps him out. Malcolm makes the decision that he's going to be a great player. He puts the work in. Halfway through the season, boom, it takes off. And we went back and we said, look at the practice reps. It's 5 in a row, right? No MEs, no technique issues, right? He's training. Jonah, the last 4 weeks, his practice, as many D linemen I've been around, been outstanding. I'll tell you that. From his footwork, strike, his eye progression, his effort to the ball. I mean, the second play of the game, you saw what he did against Miami. But, I mean, the kids put in the work. So did we steal him? I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for Indianapolis, but I'm glad he's here. And I'm glad he's improving. All right, thank you. Yep.
That your offense made, I realize it's only been 1 week, but when you went back and looked, are you able in a loss to still appreciate the progress, or is it one of those things we lost at all times?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have the moral victories or whatever. You're very disappointed. I mean, we felt like we started out the game, we moved the ball, and then we just got to be able to finish in the red zone. I think it's a different game. We were able to get some touchdowns early. We would have gotten the lead or potentially been tied, you know what I mean, instead of then just constantly having to play from behind. But, I was happy with the way the guys played. I mean, the guys really were, stuck with it the whole time. I felt like we were aggressive as far as just being aggressive coming off the ball. The yards after catch were really well. The quarterback did a nice job of, getting the ball out of his hand, which I challenged him to do. And, we were efficient. We did turn them into touchdowns in the second half. We got to come out that first drive of the second half. We took the sack, and then we weren't able to overcome it. But on those 2 touchdown drives, converted 2 fourth downs, overcame 2 penalties. That's some stuff that, we'd had some issues with, if there's a penalty. And obviously the sack got us on the other drive. But so it was good. I mean, there are definitely some positives. But I think like we could have started better or started the second half better because we had an opportunity to take the lead a couple times and we weren't able to do that. And I think once getting the lead in this league is so important and playing from ahead, and that's what we just got to do that and help our team.
How did the logistics and communication aspect of it go?
It was great. Yeah, no issues. I think Gardner did a nice job of getting the play for me and then getting it in on time. We didn't have any issues as far as running low on the play clock that I can think of. The penalties, we had the one false start. I think Jackson just got tied because everyone went except for him. You know what I mean? Poor Jordan Meredith gets the penalty on his record, but they gave it to him for some reason. Everybody moved. But yeah, we had that one, and then we had the OPI that was kind of bang bang play. So I felt like it was a clean game as far as that goes. The sacks. We got to clean those up, but we had 3 of those, which I think we could have avoided, for a couple different reasons. But yeah, no, I think the logistics of getting the play in, the operation, everything like that went very smooth.
The broadcast, they had quite a few shots of you, calling plays and your dad there by your side. And
Yeah, my daughter said, my daughter's 8, but she's basically like 20, and she was like. I got back after the game. She's like, "Dad, they showed you and Papa too much." I was like, "Thanks, thanks, Rose. Appreciate it."
what was that experience like for you though?
It's great. We've coached together, but I was always on the field and he was in the box. So just sitting next to him in the box, being able to talk in between series, get what he thought. It was really good. It was a cool experience. I didn't. We talked about this last week. I didn't think we were going to ever coach together again. So this is kind of like a bonus deal. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it much at the time, other than like I'm getting great information. But when you reflect back on it like that, it was it was pretty cool.
Scott, can you go back to what you've mentioned about the O-line and the fact that you're facing the Denver Broncos defense, who's like top in the league when it comes to sacks? How difficult is that challenge?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're flying around on defense. They got a lot of different guys that they try to create matchups for that can get to the quarterback. And pass protection isn't always just about the offensive line. I mean, the receivers have to get separation. The backs have to do a great job of either helping or getting open. Same thing with the tight ends. Like if we have them chip or if they get open and route, like they got to get separation so we can get the ball out of our hand. The quarterback's got to make quick decisions. I talked about how I thought Gardner did a nice job of that in the Miami game, but that's like that, and then we got to block them too. Like obviously that's the thing that gets focused on, but it's pass protection and keeping the quarterback upright. It's a total team stat, and the quarterback's got to get the ball out of his hand. But in order to do that, people have to be, get open. And, it's on me as well to, try to design things so we're getting guys open. But no, you don't want to hold the ball against this group. We're going to have some certain things to try to take advantage of what we think are good matchups for us. But no, we got a lot of respect for their team, for their Vance Joseph and their defense and what they've done. And you've seen them getting better every week, which is to me a sign of a good team.
It was your first week scheming things up for Brock Bowers. Is there anything that he's not capable of doing?
We'll find out. We'll just keep trying things and then, see if he can't do it. No, I mean, obviously he's a great player. And, I complimented him the other day just on his approach, day to day. And, he has a great process as far as getting his body and his mind ready. He's the type of player you tell him give him one correction once, he never makes the same mistake again. Obviously, you see like the athleticism, the size, strength, speed, and everything like that. But I mean, Brock's a great player, and he's going to continue to be a focal point of what we're trying to do.
Is 16 targets was that the design?
No, I mean, we're going to try to throw it to him a lot. We threw the ball probably more than we wanted to. A lot of that had to do with the way the game goes. Every game's different. And then we just had some things. Obviously, there's a comfort level, and he was open, so Gardner threw it to him.
Get Zamir White going early on. What did you see in his carries?
We had a couple deals where they gave us a couple unscouted looks up front. There was a little color, and I think, that kind of took him off some of his tracks a little bit. I thought he was physical, ran the ball hard. We just couldn't quite get him going there.
When Joe Philbin sat down with AP before he you guys gave him the O-line coach, he talked about one of the things that stood out to him was communication. That was visibly more active on the offensive line. How happy were you with the degree of it? It was improved. Was it as much for you? Do you want more? What did you think?
Yeah, I think we always want more. We had a couple plays where we could, again, like they gave us a couple unscouted looks where your rules have got to take over, and we could have been possibly better in those instances. But it was, it was definitely better. I mean, Jackson does a great job as the center, kind of leading the charge that way. And we just got to keep growing in that aspect. I mean, we talked about it last week as well. I mean, guys got to talk. And it's a two-way street. It's speaking, and then you have to listen as well, and I think we're going to continue to make strides there.
We know how big of a blessing it is to have your dad's experience over your shoulder, but how about to have Joe Philbin?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, just getting to know him over this last, almost year when you talk about last offseason, obviously such a great coach, been, offensive coordinator, head coach, offensive line coach. He understands coaching and teaching, and just watching him, obviously his roles changed a little bit, but watching him as a teacher just in meetings and on the field, it's really impressive. And the guys really are seeming to respond to it. His focus is like, he tries to make it as simple as he can. It's about pad level and, and getting your hat placement and leverage and running off the football. And then obviously the scheme comes into that, but if you're not doing those other things, then you don't have a chance. And I think he does a great job of communicating that with our guys.
You guys went play action first play of the game. There was a lot of early down play action, especially first down play action in the game. Was that a conscious thing that you wanted to do? And what does that do for the offense?
I think we're gonna, like I said, every game's different, so every game, you're gonna have a feeling of how you want to approach the other team. I would have liked to run the ball probably more than we did, but like I said, the short passing game was pretty good. We were getting the ball out. Guys did an outstanding job of run after catch. So it kind of just went that way, and we just kind of kept it going. We were able to move the ball. Also, because of the limited possessions, the time was a little factor, so we didn't want just the clock to continue to run. So I think, based on who we're playing, you're going to see a sliding scale. But yeah, we like to throw the ball and get it in our playmakers' hands and get the ball to guys. I think we have guys that feel like are pretty good in space. So if we get the ball in space and make people tackle them, and it makes the defense cover the whole field.
It's a little hard to guess what the health of the running back room is going to look like, but just what you've seen in the last couple of practices from Amir and Sincere and Dylan, how much confidence do you have in those guys to step up?
Yeah, I mean, even throughout all OTAs and training camps, those guys have done a great job. And I think, when you're a professional football player, you always got to be ready, and you never know when your opportunities come. And I don't know if that's going to come now. I mean, we'll leave that up to the trainers. But no, if that's the route that we got to go, I'm totally confident in those guys and their ability. Obviously, Amir has played a lot in this league. He's shown that he can do it. And then those other guys, they've put in the work and gotten better, and they're ready. They'll be ready for the opportunity if that happens to be the case.
Last week was Michael Mayer's return from a long absence. How helpful was it to have him in this offense, and how did you feel about his performance?
It was great. He brings a lot of energy, physicality to the offense. He's just one of those guys everyone kind of likes to be around. And so just bringing that kind of juice. And then he's obviously a very good football player. And to, compare, putting him on the field with Brock, it opens up Brock to do some things. It opens up him to do some things. He had 2 catches. One of them there was a penalty on them, and it was more beneficial for us to take the penalty. But again, I think he'll probably get the ball coming his way a little bit more. I think, first game back, I thought he played really well, but he'll probably come and tell you that he feels like there's some things he wanted to do a little better, and he will. I mean, you take a little time off, there's going to be a little bit of that.
Scott, you had receptions of 31 yards, 22 yards, 23 yards on Sunday. What did those chunk plays do for the offense's confidence?
I mean, it does a lot. I think, you not the offense, but the team too. Like, you look at the sideline when you watch the film and you see the guys react. And there's a lot of great people in this building. And, obviously we haven't won a lot, recently, and guys are just ready, I think, to kind of take that next step. So when that happens, I kind of think it gets people excited. And then we had some great individual plays on those too. And Miami, they're the type of team, they're kind of put a tent on everything. They don't really let you get a lot. There's not a lot of explosive plays throughout the season. So we knew some of those were going to have to be catch and run, and they were. But you see the guys just like if you go back and watch Alexander's screen, freaking Jackson like flips over and does like a whirly bird, and guys are flying down the field and they're excited for each other. And we're just trying to just build that attitude and culture where, and I think you're seeing it come out, and we just got to keep growing in that direction. Thank you guys so much.